Hmm. Oh yeah, I gotta these things. Turn off the music. Oh, wait, you can hear me and the music, or just the music? I don't know. So my name's Patrick. See if anybody sees this ever. Cool if they did. My amazing partner, human I live with, named Kat, and I have been living in Park Slope for 10 years. That's too much information on me. Anyway, starting a company. It's called Maslow. Let me do this. This looks pretentious. Yeah, we're starting a company called Maslow. And Maslow is started with just bathrooms. Like Zelda and I were hanging out, walking to a playground, and like a normal kid, she had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, "Fuck, there's nowhere to go to the bathroom." I shouldn't curse on here. And so we begged a restaurant to let us use their bathroom. I bought a beer, and I drank a lot back then, so I was like, "Cool, good excuse to probably drink a beer." No, I just thought I did. I don't think I did, but anyway. Yeah, we got to use the bathroom. It was like gross, small, and Zelda said something to the effect of like it cost like $8 to use their bathroom, and I was like, oh yeah, it did cost $8 to use this shitty bathroom. It's a bad bathroom, sorry. And just kind of expanded from there. One night I was tinkering on the iPad and just drew a picture of the floor plan, and finally when we pitched it to Kat, she was like, oh, that's a good idea to have like the open space. And so that's where we are now. I'm working on maslownyc.com. We have the Maslow Project. I guess if somebody else is watching this, then you don't know what Maslow is. Other than bathrooms, the floor plan is in a way that you have kind of a middle space that's open, and it should be, I mean, we could have more bathrooms, but I think it'd be cool to have it as a pop-up space for retail locations, and if we as Maslow qualify as a cafe, which I think we just need to be able to like make coffee and sell, like we could be a shitty cafe that only runs on bathrooms, but if we do that, then we would qualify as a restaurant, be able to rent the outdoor space out in front of Maslow, and we would be able to use that middle location for guest kitchens, to obviously prep all the food and probably do most of the cooking. I think that we could probably figure out a way to bring in like electric stoves and ovens and things like that, sort of like a wedding caterer, on the fly. I don't think a food truck scene is what we want, but who knows? Mainly just want to be able to take all different foods in New York and showcase them in a really heavily tourist and populated area, so they can not only get tourists to show up and see like, oh, this is what Indonesian food looks like, but that local people could be like, oh, cool, this is a cool spot in Jackson Heights, or some other stuff that people talk about, and so that would expose that restaurant to a lot of people, or rather it would expose the people to a lot of new restaurants and new types of food. Um, and all this sounds like a business plan. It is, but the bathrooms really pay for themselves. I don't want to get into all of that, but like the bathrooms itself is an idea, and then we have this space. And I thought, what New York and what Soho needs, in my opinion, fucking, I'm just some dude from North Carolina, but it'd be cool if there was just like a spot, like a community center that was like not tucked away in like the far-flung sides of New York that nobody goes to for those specific neighborhoods, which those are necessary. But it would be really cool to have like a centralized location in New York, like a center theater of New York that you could do anything. We could have local choirs or local theater groups put on performances there. We could open it up to anything. The ultimate goal is to have some community center type of place, and for us to also be able to fund the Maslow project, which the name Maslow obviously comes from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the idea of like, we keep talking about people needing to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and then look down and they're like, I don't even have boots. We want people to act with like dignity and respect, but then we talk about these different people. It's like they're gross and other, and it's just not a good way to be, certainly in New York, and I think that we can be the example for other places. Read so many stories about like a KKK member that sits down and talks with a black person and then stops being a KKK member. Not always, but I think they just need to be able to see that the other is just a lot like us, and we're all a lot alike. So I'm hoping that this cultural exposure will be and become a quintessential piece of New York. It sounds crazy to talk like that, but I think that there's a bunch of people around New York who really give a shit about not only New York, but also just the world in general. It's a scary time out there, and I think that this would be a great place to have a nice place for us to see that the world's not so bad, or the people in it aren't so bad. I'll make up a piece from the kids in the background. Anyway, that was me, long-winded. I don't know how to upload this to YouTube, but my future self will. That's it. It's January 6th. Happy anniversary. 2026. So that's it. I'd say stay tuned, but who knows. All right, I'll see ya.